Welcome back to the Drive to Succeed podcast. We have the one and only Ray Kobeissi in the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Danielle.
You're welcome. I know it's a little bit spontaneous that we're recording this podcast, and we and I a little bit
All up to
but anyway, I hope we add so much value today through our guests and especially people who already seem to know you and not know you as well. So just to have a little bit intro and context, who is Ray Kobeissi?
Ray is a ray of sunshine. My background is on PR, media relations, events management. This is where I come from for most of my life. And then I just decided to shift from a 9 to 5 employee to having my own coaching business, mental health coaching to be very precise, and corporate training as well. I chose this one because I had my share experience with mental health, and I decided to raise awareness on that topic, especially that there is quite a stigma about it. Most people are very shy or embarrassed or sometimes ashamed to express what they're going through, so they end up going through that phase alone. So this is exactly why I want to do that, to raise awareness and to help people deal with whatever they're going through, whether it was anxiety or stress or even communication, to, to to a place where they do not reach a severe depression. This is what I'm trying to do, is that precautionary mental health service.
Understood. So precautionary mental health services is something about preventive measures before
Preventive
people.
measures, yes, to deal with your stress and anxiety
Mhm.
without reaching a point where you need to go to a doctor and take medications. I want people to be able to deal with it before that serious phase hits.
I do understand. Awesome. And how long have you been doing this practice?
Officially, almost 2 years officially, but I've been in the coaching for quite few years, but just one-on-one coaching, friends of friends, you know how it goes. But
Yes.
as just focused on that, almost 2 years.
I do understand. No worries. And also, I'm just really curious about because now we're still on the isolation or lockdown. Especially, we are based in UAE in Dubai, for instance. But because this podcast is being listened to other parts of the country as well, so just to put, I'm sorry, other parts of the world, but just to put some context, how can people cope up in the current situation? How can they get motivated? What are your tips?
It's very important that to cope with such a pandemic, especially that with the lockdown, to create a new routine and to accept that we are in this for a long time. So to take the right measures, and by taking the right measures, it's creating a new routine, making sure that you are doing self-care activities that could help you do your job, with a big smile on your face. So I would recommend having workout activities, seeing what's been delivered online, talk with your friends, see what they're doing. So creating an indoor activity that allows you to do what you were doing outside, if it's
Mm,
making any sense, to stay connected even though you're disconnected, like doing some workouts, finding that hobby that you've been postponing for a long time. Do that. Now it's time to learn how to cook, to do your yogas, to do your paintings, whatever it is that we were not be able to do it now. And having a support system around you as well, that would um, that would allow you to express your stress, because we are all stressed. If you're anxious, at least have one ice in case of emergency, to have that friend or that expert online to help you cope with it, with the right breathing exercises, with the right mindset shifting from I'm panicking, what should I do, to it's okay, I cannot control this situation. So having a support system, creating a new routine, and I would recommend also, even for those people who don't know how to meditate, because meditation, um, I personally changed my life through meditation. I don't know about you if you meditate, but meditation is a very proven technique and way to get your mind used to being calm even in stressful situations. It would automatically send you the right message, the right
Mm-hmm.
mood, and you would feel calmer even in stressful situations. So when you're locked in the house, you need something to calm you down. So meditation gets you through it. It takes time for people who are not used to it. This is one feedback I get from my clients. I say it's practice and consistency.
Yes.
So these are few steps that people can do: having a support system, creating a routine, and embracing new activities that allows people to release the stress, like working out, cooking, meditation.
Yes, and you mentioned routine because I know ever since the lockdown has started, there's a lot of people who became so creative in how they, spend their time other than watching Netflix. I think there's a couple of posts as well that became so controversial that influencers are starting to become life coach, to become master chef, and there are always two flip side of the coin on that story. But I'm really curious about you know what do you do? What is your routine? What is an ideal day look like for Ray Kobeissi?
Well, Ray, I wake up really early and like 7 a.m., 7:30 maximum. The first thing I would do is I drink my water, I do my coffee, and I meditate. This is how I set my day. And then I would do some planning, not planning, but I would set my intention for the day. So, what am I going to do? And for someone who's, I used to be workaholic. I don't like that word, but I'm someone who enjoys doing what I do. So in this lockdown, for example, I learned how to set three things that I want to do during the day, and three specific things. So one could be on connecting with friends on Zoom. Two is creating a workbook or a program for training. And three, it could be something for myself, like do your workout, do your self cares and stuff. I as long and I add those tasks to a done list, not to a to do list, because it would make the difference.
So
So basically, this is how my day goes. Yeah,
mhm.
go on.
Sure. No, because you were saying about done list and to do list. What is the difference? I know it's just a little bit play of words,
It
but
is play of words, yes, but scientifically, our minds perceive words differently and reacts to it also differently. So when you put a to-do list with all the tasks under it, your mind would start to panic and would start to get anxious because he would think, or he would send you a message to make you think, we do not have the time to finish all of that. So what will happen is that our focus would shrink, our attention span would shrink, so we would be only focusing on, oh my God, I have a lot of things to do. And you end up like doing nothing or very little. So by changing the to-do list to a done list, done sends you a message like, yay, I'm finished. I have accomplished this. I have done this. So automatically your mind would only send you like the adrenaline or the endorphin, the hormone of, yay, I'm done,
yeah,
to give you the right mood or the right energy and the right mindset to go on to the next task. So these are very simple things that one can adjust by the way they perceive things, but they do a lot of a big impact.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, to be honest, it's my first time hearing this done list and to do list. So you were saying, yeah, it actually does make sense because most of us, like an average Joe like me, have probably like 5, 10, or sometimes 20 to do lists, and then we only get maybe one or two things done because
Exactly. So I would really recommend that we focus on three important things that we want to do. Focus on three tasks, and the task could be from a small one to a big one. But it's very important that you only focus on things that you know for sure that you're going to accomplish during the day, and not overwhelm yourself. Just pretend. I always like using examples, and I always come to myself as a mug of coffee.
Mhm.
Let's assume you're going to somewhere to get a coffee. Would you be able to enjoy it if it's too hot and too flowed with coffee? No, you need some
Yes.
space, and this, the what do you say, the flow of
Mm-hmm.
coffee
Mm-hmm.
at the cup of coffee. I'm
Yes.
sorry, it's a very long day today. This is
Yeah.
how your mind is. So the more you give it, the less it achieves. So why do that to yourself? Because at the end of the day, it's you being affected, your business, your friends, your family at some point, because you would snap at them. I'm working. Don't do that to yourself. Just focus on three tasks and
Mm-hmm.
make sure you do them properly and give them the right time and the right focus, and see how things will flow.
I do understand. Yes, and also I reminded when you mentioned focus, there is one acronym about focus: follow one course of action until success.
Definitely, definitely, yes.
Absolutely. So now that we talk about done list, to do list, um, let's talk about what are the current fears of people right now and anxiety. And, because you mentioned a lot of fear, anxiety, stress, how do people can cope up right now? I'm sure you mentioned routines. But what are the, little wins that people can do right now, especially those who are, have an even footing? Let's say they got laid off, you know, or they just be on forced leave. There's a lot of uncertainty going on right now, either an employee or you own a business. How can we cope up in this situation right now?
The best way to cope is basically keeping your emotions and facts in check. So give yourself the time to process whatever happened to you. So in this case, we're going to talk about people who got laid off. Take the time to process it and to absorb your shock, your upsetness, your frustration, your disappointments. Because once you are in that mindset, you wouldn't be able to bounce back or have a proper plan. So keeping our emotions in check is very important.
Mhm.
And have someone from your family or your maybe coach or therapist to vent, so they could also have a balance, emotional balance for you, and you get yourself out of the confusion or the uncertainty about the future. So the first thing would be to take our time to absorb the situation, to understand our facts and the new reality that we have to live with,
Mhm.
and then we would move to the next step. And the
Yeah.
next step would be basically to get as much information as possible that could help us have a better plan, or a plan B, or a backup plan, whatever you want to name it. So this information could be by reaching out to employers or HR personnel on LinkedIn, maybe telling your network and community and friends, hey, listen, I got laid off. This is what I do. Or maybe create a one-page CV and tell people what you want and what you are looking for and how can they help you.
Mhm.
At the
Mhm.
same time, I can't come to Daniel and tell him, hey, listen, so I am a mental health coach, let me know if something comes up. No, that's not how
Yeah.
it's so vague and it's so wide. No, I would come to you and I would say, so listen, I got laid off recently and this is what I do. I created this one page CV so it could help you to spread it around your friends. I would really appreciate if you could maybe think of me whenever you see an opportunity for me to deliver a one-on-one coaching session, or maybe a group session for a company, and I have very good prices and packages given the circumstances. Can you do that for me? This approach on its own, I have shared with you my problem. I have given you the tool to help me, and I have given you the directions as well and the space to ask your questions. So, this approach on its own would have the responsibility shared, and at the same time, it would give you the platform, which here is our friends or HRs or whatever, to open doors for us. If we knocked 50 doors,
Yes.
minimum you would get like 5 to 8 open for negotiations, open for opportunities, collaborations, partnerships. But you need to knock those doors and know when and to whom you're knocking. So that would be also one way. And the second way, which is the I find it very important, is
Mhm.
to reframe or regroup our thoughts or our perception on life. So having laid off could be a very good thing. What if you already had an idea that you wanted to implement, but you never had the time? What if this job was giving you, I don't know, a burnout, nervous breakdown. What if the money that you were earning was really not good enough, but it was only enough for you to move on? So reframing and regrouping, and this cannot be done on its own. You need coaching, you need mentoring, you need guidance. But to reframe our thoughts and the way we perceive things would definitely make a huge difference. Like, of course, it's not gonna be yay, I got laid off, no. But it would give you the luxury of thinking of things differently. Okay, so maybe it's time for me to publish that book, or maybe it's time for me to create my own business. Maybe
Yes.
it's time for me to connect with my family because I haven't been seeing them for a while now. And then I would think of the financial issues. So reframing our thoughts is very uh, important, and
Uh-huh.
it would help us to reassess where we want to go. To, is this path or is this career path what I want, or I want a different career path? So it would give you as well the time to do some self-reflection
Hmm.
and set your plan. Not that we could plan for years ahead now, but at least to give you an image, the big picture. Where do you see yourself now? Do I really want to stay in that company or in that field or not?
Hmm.
um, and one question to another, you would be able to set yourself opportunities and set yourself a nice strategy for yourself. But it's very important that to keep the pessimistic outlook out of the window, just throw it away,
Yeah.
and have a realistic optimism instead.
Understood, understood. Yes, what I really love your approach is that maybe because you were a coach and you have background in PR and media as well, so somehow I feel like you're a coach, but also you're a marketing expert or a PR expert, and you know how to with the play of words and with your expertise, it's more easier to create new opportunities for yourself. Also, you have a coaching methodology in the way you approach business, which I really love about, and which is why the reason why I love talking to experts and coaches like yourself. But just a quick question though, I'm really curious. Have you seen yourself doing coaching? If you look back, maybe a few years way back, have you seen yourself? This is what I wanted to do. And what does the transition look like?
Like, to be very honest, no, not coaching, but I did always see myself doing something that includes a lot of speaking. I
Mm,
love speaking and people. So speaking and people have always been a nice combination for me. I love being around people. I love reading them. I love talking to them, and I love the energy that it gives me. And at the same time, the reason why I chose coaching is that, Danielle, I've always realized a pattern in all of my jobs is that I'm always into uh, having this bubble of sunshine in the company. So I would always be the one who is empathetic and compassionate and giving, full of ideas. Let's do this, let's do that. Why don't we consider doing this? Why don't? And then my friend, she was like, you should be a coach. Nah. Well, 2 years later, guess what? Yes. So, but I think I became a coach at the right time and at the right place, and when I was ready and the world was ready for me. So everything happens at the right time. This is what I have learned. So
Yeah,
yeah.
understood. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm really curious. Have you ever encountered self-doubt, especially because you transitioned from being a 9 to 5 job into a coach? So you mentioned about earlier as well, where maybe this is the right time to try new things, pursue a business, pursue a passion, turn that hobby into a profitable business. Have you encountered any self-doubt, and what are your thoughts, tips on that? So people who are listening right now or watching this can get some value on
We all get these voices in our head that sometimes would tell us, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Am I as good as people think I am? Am I being authentic? What do people want from me, and am I giving it to them? There's a lot of questions that you get, but the only answer is, there are two reactions to self-doubt. You either listen to it and tackle what are they telling you. If they are telling me I'm not good enough, what's making that voice trying to tell me? Why do I think like that? Which means there's something that is stuck and I need to work on and just clear it away. And
Mhm.
the second would be maybe I'm I'm putting so much expectations on myself as well, and I'm not being grateful or appreciative of what I have already accomplished. So it's very important that when you are encountering a self-doubt moment, not it manage it, listen to it, but know how to manage it, because sometimes it's present and it's trying to tell us something. And when we know and learn how to manage it in a effective way, it would then make us a better coach in my case, and a better person, a better family member, a better sister, a better everything. Because whatever um, and that way, when you are managing your self-doubt, you wouldn't be leaving any space or chance for criticism or self-destruction to take place. No, you would go to the self-development.
Yes,
So it's the approach to it that makes all the difference.
understood. And when was the last time you encountered self-doubt?
Wow, that's a nice question. That's a nice one. Well, the last time I had self-doubt, it was quite a while ago. Self-doubt, it's been a long time, to be honest. But what I would maybe encounter or have the feelings of, what if I fail, or have I failed? Am I motivated enough? Look at people, look what's going on. So this collective energy sometimes hits me, and then I get myself out of it. No, 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 no. I would distract myself. I would disconnect. I would even talk with my friend, like Fari is one of them. I would always talk to her because she would, reframe my thoughts to where it belongs. But we all get these kind of moments. Like, I'm pretty sure you do that as well sometimes. It's very natural for people to have these doubts, to have the fears, to have questions. What if? Am I doing this right? Am I doing enough? We all ask ourselves those questions, but it's committing to action
Mhm.
and managing these kind of thoughts in a way where you are, rotating it from one place to another, to serve yourself and to be authentic with yourself and to give value to people.
Understood, understood. Yes, and also I believe is that you overcome self-doubt by just doing it. Because when you're so busy doing it, you don't have time to reflect or think. So there's this one book, I think it was Chicken Soup for the Soul, where
Oh,
there's
that's an old book.
yeah, it's an old book.
Read it.
In I used to buy books at flea market, so there's like old books there where I can just pick up and get some wisdom on it. But anyway, so I was going back to the stories that there were some instances where someone is, let's say someone lost their family, they lost hope going back to work, so they continue doubting themselves. Just happened that when you have a certain goal that you wanted to accomplish, you're so driven that you had no time to reflect and just keep on doing it. And then maybe a year or two after doing it, you became so confident that looking way back, where's the self doubt? Something like that. Do you believe in that? And what are your thoughts on that?
So what's the question?
I mean, about forcing yourself not to reflect,
Oh,
but just by doing.
no, I wouldn't. It works for a very, this is what I call a bandage, where you just put on a very, when you get a burn, when you injure yourself, instead of going to the hospital and getting the right treatment, you would just put a bandage, and then the infection would just grow bigger and bigger and bigger until it's out of your control. So this kind of approach, by just doing without reflecting or without giving your time to process what you're going through, to um, to deal with your emotions, is very critical, because at the end of the day it would create a bigger problem. So
Mm,
let's say, for example, I'm going to give you a personal example. When my dad passed away, and that was 10 years ago, I went into denial. I went into a totally different way to grieve by just living my life and pretending that this did not happen. There was a point in my life where I was denying that this happened. So I just, I took some time to wear the black outfit, and then went to the beach, went to party, went to do whatever I wanted, and then it hit me like after 1 year maybe, and I was acting weird around my friends. I was always pretending that I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, Ross's voice in Friends, I'm fine. Until I was not fine anymore, and I had to go to therapy, take medication, antidepressants. I lost the appetite for life, for food, for everything else. So it took me 5 years to actually recover and heal.
Mm.
So this process on its own was because I was in denial. I was not grieving as I should. I did not deal with the loss as I was supposed to. And people let me, so no one came to me and said, Rahaf, what you're doing is wrong, because they thought it would hurt my feelings. If I had someone back then to tell me this is not the way, or there are 5 stages to mourn and to grieve, I wouldn't be uh, coping with it in a very toxic way and a very painful way. I would have understood, and oh, okay, so denial is the first stage, then comes this, then comes that, then comes this. No, I had to live it all at once. So I would really recommend that people would, whatever situation it is, to give yourself the space to feel your emotions, even if it was painful, and especially when it's painful. Listen to your pain, what it's telling you. Get your support from a coach, from a mentor, from a therapist, from a doctor, but get also the support, because you cannot do it on your own. And having someone that you trust his judgment is very also important, that you are working with someone you trust, you
Yes.
feel this chemistry with, and you feel open with, to be yourself, your authentic self, by expressing your emotions. It could be crying, it could be pain, it could be whatever it is.
Yes.
And take it step by step. Do not rush your healing, do not fake your recovery. And no, let yourself be. It's like having a plant, a seed in your house. You cannot expect to put a seed in a pot and water it for the first week and just get rid of it because it did not bloom. We are like the seeds. Especially when we are suffering from a very serious mental issue like anxiety, OCD, ADHD, a loss of someone dear to us, anger, and we have to go back. Why are we angry? What is lost to us? What
Mm.
are we grieving on? What is this telling us?
Yes.
It's a very long process. It's a very long journey. It requires patience. It requires practice. And I highly focus and highlight having the right support next to you, the
Understood.
right support, because we all get support.
Yes.
Is it the right one for us? Are we dealing it with the right people or not?
Hmm.
Your friends are not your therapist, they're just friends. So it's very important that we allow ourselves to feel fully whatever it is, and to get the idea of, no, I'm not supposed to do that, no, I cannot afford to be sad. No, you can afford to be sad for a limited time. It's much better and healthier than being sad for the rest of your life and not knowing what to do with it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I also believe this is one of the reasons why there's a lot of, marriage that are not succeeding, relationships not growing. Because,
Definitely, because people are not, what I always say, Danielle, is like when you go to school or to universities, they give you these kind of courses on depending on your major, but you get all kinds of courses, elective, selective, major, all of them. But they never give us the same trainings when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to self-love, when it comes to our well-being. No one teaches us that love comes first. If I don't give myself the priority, then I wouldn't be able to help people around me or to love them properly. No one taught us that our emotional baggage could literally change our whole life ahead of us. So in relationships, no one tells them that communication is the key. If you think about it, all our problems in relationships because we don't know how to communicate. Men are from one planet, women are from another planet, and they still did not figure out the same language. So it's very important that two things I always say when it comes to relationships. One, do not go into a new relationship if you're not healed from the old one,
Mhm.
because your baggage is not your partner's or new partner's responsibility.
Yes.
And two, communicate. Just learn how to communicate. Be in peace and be free to talk about uncomfortable conversations or topics comfortably. Learn how
Mm.
to do that. Express what's on your mind. You're laughing, but it's really effective.
Yes.
It
Yes.
really
Exactly.
changes a lot of things. Like, hey, honey, so I want to talk to you tonight about something. Yeah, what it is. It could be about I cheated on you, but it's how you tell her or tell him. It's how
Mhm.
you say it. And okay, what's next?
Mhm.
When we yell, when we stop talking to each other, when we, do
Yes.
these things, trigger each other, that's not communication. That's just avoiding our emotions and avoiding the real problem and creating new ones until they pile up. And hey, I think we should break up.
Mm, understood, understood. Yeah, and also I don't know if you know about this concept. I was talking about this with Khalid Gurab. It's called Five Love Languages by Gary
Oh, yes.
Chapman.
Oh, yes. Hey, give me that book. I love that book. I love it. I love it. I love it. If every couple sat together and read it, oh my God, the difference. Yes, we should learn our love languages because there are five, and your language is different than mine. And sometimes we could have the same languages but in different order.
Yes, exactly.
So it's very important that we learn those languages and talk about it with each other. Like, hey, would you rather maybe for me, if I want to express love or gratitude for you, would you rather have me get you a gift or cook you something? Or do you want me to say it to you?
Yeah, exactly.
As simple as that.
Yeah, but I
Well,
think as a man we need to have all of it. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, or maybe, hey, how about doing this and this? But communicate, yeah, know what's your language, know what's your language first, and then know your partner's language. It would make it easier.
Listen, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this podcast episode. I'm
Yes,
also
we talk about everything, at once.
yeah, exactly. And just a couple of questions. So you're a coach yourself. Who do you go to? Do you have inspirations, mentors, support system for those people?
Wow, that's a lot of people in one question. Um, my support system are my friends.
Mhm.
I'm grateful to have really, really good friends. And throughout the years, they have, evolved my perception of friendship. So my support system listens to me, supports me when they can, and when I want to, or when I ask for it. Mentors, that's a tough one. I do not have specific mentors. Like I'm the kind of person who gets inspired by anything that gives me a message, or it gives me an idea of how to see things differently, or maybe message to me I needed to hear on that day. But before, it was my dad. To be very honest, my dad is my mentor. um, he was the reason why I became a mental health coach, because
Mm.
given that he passed away because of depression, gave me the purpose to help people to overcome theirs. So it's one way or another mentorship, if it makes any sense. I'm also a member of a community which is Dubai Business Women Council, and they
Mhm.
have their own mentorship program. It's also played a big part of my life as well. And I have my own life coach. She's always there for me, and she keeps me balanced emotionally and socially and mentally.
Mhm.
So yeah, and my books as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess my support system would come from my friends. Let's put it that way. My friends are my support system.
Understood. Thank you so much. And
You. Who
all right.
is your support system?
Well,
Let me ask you one question.
all right. So my main support system right now, obviously, is my wife. So
Okay.
I call her my best friend, my partner. Both business and personally. Actually, Fatty knows about this. So Fatty, we've known each other for I think 3 years now, or 3.5 years.
Wow,
So she at least have an idea what is our life look like, offline and online. So
that's beautiful. May God bless you.
thank
That's
you.
say hi
Thank
to.
yes. And also, so just two questions. First thing is, where can people find you? Know more about your work.
Yes, they could find me on either Instagram, Raise Your Mental Health.
Hmm.
Check my website, Raise Your Mental Health as well, and on LinkedIn, Rahaf Kobeissi. This is where they could find me. I'm doing a lot of packages and offers for the pandemic, especially for the situation.
Hmm.
One-on-one coaching sessions, corporate training programs. Um, so feel free to drop me a message and we'll take it from there. Yes.
Understood. I gotta make sure to put that on the links when I release this episode as well. So
Perfect.
before my last and final question, I just want to acknowledge you for sharing your journey with us today. And this is, I
Thank you
really
so
enjoyed this episode. Although it's a little bit spontaneous, there's no preparation and all that.
much. But we did a great job.
Thank you, thank you. I've been doing this for a year and a half now, so I
Wow.
think I improved my interviewing skills. I hope so.
You did a great job, Danielle. You did a great job.
Thank you, Ray. So my last and final question to you is, if everything is a strip away from you, so let's say your coaching business, a few years from now, let's say you decided to have your own book, your own company, became bigger and better, if everything is stripped away from you, everything, as in everything, you need to start all over again, what would be your main drive to succeed?
Hmm. My main drive to succeed. Well, I wouldn't be starting from scratch. I would already have a whole big tools with me because it's all in here. So I could do it whatever way I want, you know. The drive would be my passion, which is growing and giving. The more I grow, the more I would be able to give people. So I would always find I would create something. I would create something that, okay, listen, I've done this. I would try to see it from an objective,
Mm-hmm.
or what do we call it, the bird eye from above, to see where did I do
Yeah.
wrong, why did I lose all of that, and what is this failure trying to teach me. And this is something I learned from Fairy. We Hi, Fairy. It Failure is not failing.
Mm.
So there should be a lesson to that. So my drive would be uh, that's a very nice question. Okay. My drive would just be to make the best out of it, and being present for a purpose. Create a purpose. Find out what would my purpose be later, or in that moment. Like now I have this purpose that I'm doing. When everything is slipped away from me, I would know what would be my new purpose, and based on it I will get the right drive
Yeah.
and create something else. That's
Understood. I
what
love
about
it. I'm sorry.
what about you?
My main drive to succeed.
Interesting. You
I think we need to create your show and then have me there and discuss. But my main drive to succeed. All right, I'll just gonna cut this later. But anyway, my main drive to succeed is all about having. I don't want my future family experience what I experience. Because
Mm,
normally, I'm from the Philippines. So it's a third world country, and living in that country is really difficult. Just to
mm,
be here in the UAE alone, creating a sustainable, profitable business is one of the challenges I still currently have. So my main job to succeed is to not, you can say, not just chase money, but rather chase my purpose and have the purpose work on, for myself, and have this bigger mission where I'm just helping people on solving a problem, either through their businesses, either to their expertise and experience. So
Well,
yeah.
Alan, for me, now that you're saying that, where the reason why I chose mental health is that because I overcome my own journey with depression and anxiety and panic attacks and loss of someone dear. So I had it all, and it took me a long time to recover and heal and embrace a new life and a new path. So it has always been in the back of my head that I really don't want anyone to suffer from this. And if they were, I want to know how to help them. So I think that would be my drive is helping people. I love helping people in any possible way, whether I was a coach or maybe something else. As long as I'm helping someone, it's a good enough drive for me
Yes, absolutely.
to be useful.
Understood. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, Ray or
Thank
Rahaf
you.
Kobeissi, for your time, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye bye.